going on. Uh, it's kind of weird. I just kind of found this out, but it's like there's a term when it's like we don't hear it much more like we used to, but they used to say we're gonna get a hole in the ozone layer. I mean, it almost looks like to me like what the magnetosphere. It's like looks like it always has a hole in it, but they don't mention the ozone layer anymore. But it's basically was supposed to be gases. But when there's a lot of lightning and storms, you'll get this. People say I can smell the ozone, and it's basically nitrogen, uh, because when the lightning discharges, the chemical the chemical print, I guess, would be nitrogen, and it gets up there in the sky and it falls down in the rain, and it makes the plants crack open. Like I heard the first lightning of the year causes the plants to crack open. Also, when uh, I hunt morels, also there's you're supposed to go around the first lightning around the time when they're supposed to pop out around Mother's Day. So it's that the lightning is literally you got electricity being converted chemically into another energy, and then it's dripping down into the soil and then into the plants, and then those plants are also converting that light energy, which is kind of like similar electrons and protons and neutrons, uh, and it's converting it into sugar, and then everything that we eat basically eats grass and plants, and then converts that into protein. It's really crazy though. That's I didn't really necessarily see that before, and it's kind of interesting. And it's weird because okay, they got devices like they got orgone machines, and supposedly some like atmospheric, like kind of like an ionizer or a deionizer or something like that. And supposedly, if you put these in deserts, it'll start to rain, like kind of like they used to say about the rain dance. Like people could make it rain by doing stuff on the earth. And Tesla surely could was reputed to be able to create a storm artificially just with his machine, his big tower with this like it almost looks like a dandelion when it's in seed form and all the little whiskers are off of it. Kind of looks like that, and it's on this wooden pole that goes way up, like up in the sky, and it's like one of those coils that you touch the bulb, and the electric line goes and touches your finger. Um, so in theory, you got one of these things. You can generate a storm. You can create a reaction and put nitrogen, convert the gases in the clouds into nitrogen, and it'll fall down. So it's like that's some potentially sophisticated type stuff right there. And this Tesla stuff was like way back early 1900s. Like literally the first weather patterns are in the like look, dude, early 1900s. I mean, it's crazy how far back the stuff goes. But I remember my grandpa was telling me in Vietnam they would shoot salt and mortar shells into the sky off the top of the mountain, and then a few hours later it would start raining. So I mean, it's like uh, there's ways you can manipulate all this stuff. It's kind of like, all right, if you can generate lightning when it's not really natural, it wasn't really supposed to go off because you've been turned on one of those Tesla things, and you called in the clouds. You know what I'm saying? Or it it's like anything that you do, you interfere with, it's got to draw from somewhere else. So there's always going to be there's like a web, a network. So when you hit one string, the whole web vibrates. You know what I'm saying? Like in some cases, if you snap the line over here, you'll lose some stability way over here, and you'll catch an anomaly. That's kind of how it appears when it comes to this kind of electromagnetic thing and eco meteorologic system, machine, continuum, whatever. And it's like, most certainly, and I mean, man has been capable for a long time to manipulate, and it has been sought after to control it. And literally, this is kind of the ways back in the way a long time ago, as people would their gods would have a showdown, like who could make it rain, and in these days, man can kind of manipulate things and kind of make that thing kind of happen. And it's funny. It's like kind of like they were salts, but I bet you uh, they were probably like metal salt, metallic salt, way back then in Vietnam when they were doing this type stuff. And it's the same thing with like with also like look with more with extra magnetism in the atmosphere because it's being artificially generated or directed. Because I mean, it's like the thing energy can't be created or destroyed. All they can do is kind of tap into energy and redirect it. It's like uh, it's kind of, and even if supposedly you could make some generator of energy, it'd be just like it would be the same thing with the electronic electrosphere and uh, the meteorological geosphere. It would, for somewhere else in the universe, supposedly it would just take the energy that was already there and just bring it all to another spot where, I mean, in a way. So it's kind of like all these things here. It's cutting off your nose to spite your face, kind of a thing, and it's powerful. It's like literally back in the days, gods would like little g gods would stop the rain on people that didn't stop worshiping it, like their temples, and they're doing their rituals, their sacrifices. Uh, so I mean, this is some powerful stuff, and this is kind of uh, it's kind of spooky territory because it literally is kind of a Pandora's box sort of thing. And once again, some people say that earthquakes are geomagnetic as well, and earthquakes trigger volcanoes. That and look, and also they're saying like, for instance, like as the sun, even though it's way over there, as it's burning, it's like it's affecting constantly our geosphere, but in almost in a way like they're linked, they're symbiotic. So there's a flare up here, instantly there's already a because the particles you can't see are hitting the center of the earth. It's like shooting up a lot of waves and stuff we can't see. Uh, it's like that's one theory out there. It's but I'll tell you what, this is something like when it goes back to the lightning and the extra storms, artificial atmosphere kind of a thing where it's like it's not naturally brought about in that way where um, uh, it's this much lightning because they're using like ionization and the new 5G, and then there's also space waves coming at us that are kind of invisible too. They're coming from the sun and other places, and it's like uh, there's all this stuff going on like concurrently, and because of all the extra, like there's been a lot of like earth sliding around for. I mean, this is a Bible. It says every no country or no mountain will be in the same place by the time things open, and literally by the time things over, literally like mountains and big land masses are sliding around these days, and it's really odd, but yeah, anyway. And also I've noticed like look, the grass is really plush, all these little like the kind of plants that grow in semi sun, semi shade climate, Like all these kind of plants, these are like really flourishing right now. Like almost like from all the extra nitrogen falling from all the lightning has got these little plants like really blasting. But since the sun ain't out as much as it used to be, and it's always like semi obscured by chemicals, the it's more or less like the different herbage is kind of taken over, and it's got the advantage over other plants, and you can kind of watch it, kind of these different cycles too. Like I think it just goes in cycles anyway. Like one plant will grow and it'll deplete certain minerals, and then another plant who's got seeds in the ground, but they're just the conditions ain't came about. But when the conditions are right, like consistent sun, like baking the ground, all of a sudden these ones will start to pop up. These ones that are going now will deplete their nutrient, and the other one runs off different nutrients. So just recycles it and converts it again. Um, and it's also like, for instance, the chemical process of the sun light hitting the ground causes a chemical reaction where like little pieces of copper, little pieces of metallics, break down really slowly and are converted also into chemical, electrical energy that is converted by funguses and other plant life, and then the plant that everything else eats that. The bugs eat that. Then they got the bugs die. The fungus eats the bug, and it goes back into the goo there. This it's really crazy how all this stuff's like everything is totally connected. It is like a web. It's not compartmentalism. Doesn't work in actual nature, in real time, in ecosystems. Everything, there's cause and effect, and there's reasons why things adapted in such a way. And there's just, it's like, there's times where it seems like things are maxed out, and they have natural resets where certain things kind of, for a time period, take back over kind of the claim of that area. Kind of like, and maybe in it, I'd imagine it would happen relatively quick because I've seen some abandoned properties like go jungle like so fast, like especially here where I live in Flint with the Flint Bando redevelopment situation, where they're just like get rid of all the extra low affordable housing in the ghetto places, kind of letting them run all the way down, and just literally letting those things rot to the ground. And there's nothing new going up, and it's more stuff is just disappearing, and it's kind of like, this is even, of course, if nature is going to have this cycle of, for instance, the predator prey cycle, where there's a 7-year period where the rabbit populations booms because the fox population and coyote population's low, but because of the breeding, the super breeding of these rodents, the next 7 years, the foxes get bigger and bigger until there's so many foxes that the competitions get so tough that they don't have enough rabbits, so the population slims out. It's like, look, it's not that it's going extinct. Oh my God, no! It's that they're slimming out because it's like you got to travel light. You know what I'm saying? When things get yeah, when you ain't when things ain't secure, you got to travel light. You never know if you have a change of plans, and that's actually makes you more adaptable, which makes you more likely to survive and more efficient. But people look at it all the wrong way sometimes, and then they get the fear starts talking, and it's, oh, the sky is falling. But no, it's like you operated kind of off your emotions and not your better judgment, and just if you really think the thing through a little bit, take a little bit of time to let it process and get rid of all the futile thinking and the fear porn and the doom porn kind of a mindset where you see things kind of darkened, and see them for what they are, is just like, yeah, this natural cycle, and you should expect it because it's a pattern, and it's kind of like math, and it doesn't lie, and it just kind of like, and you can expect it because it has happened repeatedly in the past. And for the most part, that can kind of be proven to some degree. I mean, not everything, some stuff's still yet to be revealed.